Show you now how to make a really fantastic homemade custard. It's perfect to accompany lots of different desserts, and it's 100 times better than anything you'll ever get in a packet. I'll show you the only ingredients that go into this, and then you'll see why. I have a little bit of fresh milk, some nice flour, a little bit of sugar. I've got a lovely fresh vanilla pod. You could always use vanilla essence if you didn't have this, but the fresh always works better. And I also have 6 whole eggs. First thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. Crack the egg like that, open it up. You use this shell to just send that egg yolk back and forward. And what that does is you can see all the egg white just disappearing off it, and you're left only with the egg yolk. So that's one way to separate it. So the second way, a little bit easier. Open the egg, and just what you want to do is keep a little gap between your hands and let that egg yolk stay up there while the egg white falls away. So just give it a little shake, make sure any excess is gone, and in it goes. So that's 2 different ways to separate your egg yolks from your egg whites. You choose whichever one you want to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want to combine those egg yolks with the sugar. Now a lot of people, when they do this, they might pour the sugar straight on top of those whole egg yolks. It's the worst thing that you could ever do. What will happen is the sugar actually burns the top of the egg yolks in a little chemical process that happens, and you'll be left with little tiny specks for the rest of the sauce. So what we do is we just stir it up a little bit, and then our sugar can go in on top. This is going to take a little bit of work. We need to whisk it very vigorously until it goes nice and white and creamy. So you can see you're getting that lovely creamy white texture, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So now that that's finished, the next step is to get our lovely fragrant vanilla milk on the go. So to make this fragrant milk, the first thing I've got is my vanilla bean. Now what I'm going to do is, using a small knife, we're going to split it straight down the middle. Now vanilla beans are not cheap. You'll probably pay, depending on where you live, about $1 or €1 for one of these. So we want to get as much of that wonderful vanilla flavour out of there as we possibly can. And to do that, we're going to lay it flat, and just using the base of our knife, we're just going to scrape all the way along. And I see all those little beans. That's where all the flavour is. So we'll do that with both sides. And what we're actually going to do as well is we're going to drop this whole length of the bean into the milk, and any excess little pieces of vanilla that are in there will come off as that milk comes to the boil. We're looking for a nice low flame because we want that milk to come to the boil really slowly with the vanilla in there. We're also going to put our lovely fresh vanilla beans in there, and the whole one as well. Now that's going to take about 5 or 6 minutes to come to the boil really slowly. So I highly recommend that as that milk slowly comes to the boil, you stay here and watch it, because what's going to happen is you'll go off and do something else, and that 1 second that you'll turn your back, it'll boil over and you'll have a huge mess all over your stove. So the next thing I'm going to do while that comes to the boil is I'm going to add the flour to my egg yolk mixture. So in goes that lovely flour. And this is going to act as the thickening agent, and that's what's going to get us that lovely thick velvety custard. So just bring it together like that, and at this stage I'll just take that off my whisk, and we're going to bring in Mr. Spatula. So it's a lot easier to incorporate that last bit of flour using a spatula. So we'll just mix that nicely in, and all we have to do now is wait for that milk to come to the boil. So you can see that that milk is starting to come to the boil now. Take it off, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that mixture to my lovely egg yolk, sugar and flour mixture, and I'm going to bring that together with my spatula. And what we're doing here is we're tempering the egg yolks that are in there. If I poured that whole mixture over the egg yolks, there's a chance that those egg yolks might split because the temperature would be too hot. So we bring it together with our spatula, making sure to get everything off from around the edges. And you can see it starting to form a custard. At the moment, it's very, very thick, so we're just going to add it back into our milk because of the eggs have come up a little bit in temperature, and they'll be able to handle the heat of that milk in there. So in it goes, and we want to scrape every last bit of goodness. That's why Mr. Spatula is very useful here. In like that. And now what we're going to do next is we're going to bring that back onto the heat.
So at this stage, just get rid of your spatula. We're going to start using a nice whisk and keep whisking vigorously for about another 2 to 3 minutes.
And it's really starting, the heat's coming back into that, and what that does is it's really going to thicken it very quickly. I've turned the heat up a little bit, and it's very important that you keep whisking it very vigorously, because if you don't and you stop for a fraction of a second, it's going to stick to the bottom and your whole custard is going to be burned. So that's really thickening it nicely. I think we're ready to take it off the heat and serve it up immediately. That is the perfect yellow custard.